For the last few years of my life, this being from when I was a trucker to the recent hell that was surviving 2020, I've had the realm of politics reintroduced into my life. About a decade ago, when I used to go to church a lot more often than I do now, out of curiosity I would ask people what their beliefs were, both in politics and in faith, obviously. Well, let's just say I was a curious kid. I think it's for this reason that as I got older I started doing this thing where I would self-identify as a, ideologist. I just liked the idea of understanding ideas, people, the things that they think of, philosophies, all that good stuff. So, with that being said, I figured I'd make this video talking about what I've come to understand about social justice warriors. So since this has basically been an analysis that's started all the way back in 2017, I decided I'd make a 3-part video about this topic. This is part 1, the Don Quixotes. For those who don't know, Don Quixote was a 2-part story written by Miguel de Cervantes. Both parts were published in 1605 and 1615. The story was meant to be a satire about the, at the time, popular genre of chivalry novels. The title character is an old man who becomes so obsessed with chivalry novels, you know, the kind of stories, knights in shining armor, rescuing damsels in distress, slaying the dragon, defeating the evil wizard, conquering the throne, all that kind of stuff. Well, the character literally becomes so obsessed and idolized the idea that he decides he's going to literally don an armor, get on a horse, and starts roaming the land trying to be one. Now, I admit I've never actually read the novels. I've never read either, but I do know about them. There's one specific scene that I wanted to point out that goes into the nature of SJWs, and that is, there's a scene where Don Quixote is charging down a hill with a lance on his horse at what he claims are giants in the distance. There is this young man that's with him, I can't remember his name to save my life, and he ends up yelling at Don Quixote to stop, claiming that those aren't giants, they're windmills. Well, Don Quixote doesn't stop. He continues going until he literally rams into one of the windmill blades and causes it to be knocked off his horse. The reason why I bring that up is because the idea of Don Quixote basically being this obsessed nutcase who is now wanting to be just like those people reminds me of them. A bunch of people thinking that they are going to be the heroes, when in reality, they're fighting imaginary battles. Think about feminists in the last decade. Since feminists, the ones from long ago, fought for real issues like women's suffrage, equal pay, being able to get out of the house and have their own jobs, all that stuff, modern feminists have to basically come up with their own garbage arguments like the wage gap myth, manspreading, the patriarchy. These are their windmills. I mean, does anything else sound more Don Quixote-esque than the idea of feminists complaining about a feminist complaining about sexist air conditioning? That is Don Quixote slaying the windmill, if I ever heard it. Sorry, I can't take it seriously. But, anyway, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the sexist air conditioning is a real deal. Well, even if it is, are those same feminists going to complain about the lack of women on crab fishing boats? How about working down in dirty coal mines? Or trudging through the sewers to deal with sanitation in cities? Or go through all the hardship of day laboring to be in the construction industry? The last time I checked, I don't remember feminists complaining about the lack of representation at memorial sites honoring our fallen heroes from World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, and every war that's come after. So, in reality, you don't want to have an actual battle, you just want to fight a bunch of straw men so you can have your own little imaginary world and claim yourself to be the hero, fighting on behalf of your sisters. You know, except for the ones in the Middle East being mutilated, acid attacked, forced to wear burqas, treated like cattle, you know, not human, second-class citizens. They won't talk about that. And by the way, even though I know I'm a new channel, well, a new-ish, I guarantee that even if I was monetized able, I'm probably going to be demonetized for that last statement, or even the fact that I'm complaining about feminists and pointing out the problem in their existence. So that being said, hopefully one day I'll get monetized, but I guarantee this video probably won't. And as for the other reason why I compare them to Don Quixote is that just like the title character becoming so obsessed with the chivalry novels that he decides to become a knight in shining armor, SJWs have become obsessed with civil rights activists from long ago. You know, the ones like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and many more. All these kinds of people who blaze their own trails. They want to be just like them, fighting the good fight against racism, sexism, bigotry, you name it. But in reality, they will end up acting like the very people who long ago threw rocks at civil rights activists. Just think about Antifa. Antifa, a organization that is anti-fascist only in name, act like fascists anytime people disagree with them, like the elderly or even black people who decide that they're not going to agree with everything black people are told to do by voting for Democrat. Look at Candace Owens.
That must have been scary for you. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so we were eating at this restaurant, and there was a group of 4 individuals that were bearing the Antifa decal all over their clothing and on their backpack. So we recognized they were in Antifa, and they instantly recognized Charlie and I, and they were whispering amongst themselves, looking back. There was quite some distance between us. They were on the opposite side of the restaurant. But we didn't think anything of it. They recognized us, we recognized them. I guess they sent out a bat signal, if you will, to the local Antifa chapter, and they all came within 20 minutes. There were about 25 to 30 protesters outside on the streets.
What do they want? What are they protesting?
Just us being conservative. You're not allowed to be a conservative thinker and eat breakfast publicly, apparently. We've done nothing. We said nothing. I think the restaurant owner was shocked. At that moment when they realized that their friends had arrived, they shouted at us in the restaurant, calling us Nazis and fascists. And I said, do you realize I'm a black woman? You're calling me a Nazi. I said, are we not allowed to eat here because we're conservative? And we walked outside of the restaurant pretty quickly, and then they were barricading us. And fortunately, the police must have seen them assembling a crowd very quickly, and they created a barrier between us and them. This is an all-black police force, all-minority police force, so it was a jarring sight to see because, as you guys know, Antifa is a white gang.
You know what's incredible to me? No comment. Crickets on the left. Crickets from the Democrats or the left who've actually seen this and are constantly talking about the right and the Republicans who are, you know, upsetting the public peace. Have you heard anything about this from anybody on the left to say this is wrong, what just happened to you?
Well, Maria, this is what they wanted. This is what Maxine Waters called for. She wanted people that support Trump to be approached in restaurants, approached on the streets. Exactly what she called for is what happened at this restaurant yesterday.
We want it done now. We're going to insist on it. If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Let's stay the course. Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
So we're not too shocked by their silence. We are just shocked at how violent it's grown. You know, in the past, we've seen one person approach somebody that supports Donald Trump or somebody that's in Trump's cabinet. This was 30 people that assembled. And if the police weren't there, God knows what would have happened.
It's not.
Again, they think themselves the heroes, but in reality, they're the racists. But I'm here to tell you, there actually is some good news. Yes, there is some good news for all these SJWs. I'm here to tell them that there are dragons to slay, there are wizards casting evil spells upon lands, and that there are many damsels crying out to be saved by unknown heroes that they know not. But unfortunately, I know that these kind of people, they're never going to try to save the day. And the very reason for why they won't is going to be explained in the next part of this trilogy. And let's just say that though Don Quixote was the inspiration for this video, in the next video, The Emperor is naked.